And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Fucking Cameron in the drum. Mr. Boom Gasper. You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Hello, everybody, once again. Welcome to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience. And welcome to episode number 22, where we're taking a little bit, we're not taking it too far back. We're going back to 2014. So this is wheelhouse here. This is what everybody should know that's been following the band for a really long time. It's covering all the albums, covering all the bases, and not only that, but we are covering a territory that we've never covered before, Milan, Italy. I will not be doing any Italian accents today because I do not want to be known as the guy that just does all the accents on this show. I know I've tried it before, but that's not going to happen. I'm not going to do any Italian accents. I've decided.
Well, it'll turn out sounding Scottish like it always does.
Shut up. See, that's part of it too, because I just get harassed by it, and everything I do is just that's just a Scottish accent anyway. So
at least you have that perfect.
If you want, somebody needs to request a Scotland show, so I can just speak in that the whole time. Maybe that'll work then. But not only that, but we have a special guest on the show. It is Live on Four Legs Patreon donor Aurelian. I'm not even trying your last name. Moreau? Is it just Moreau?
Yes, it's just Moreau. It's fine. Hello, guys.
Perfect. How's it going, man?
Yeah, fine. Everything's fine. It's awesome to be part of the show. I listened to it. I would say I probably started at episode 2 thanks to Brad Blazak, who gave a shout out in a single podcast theory, and then I'm already just a listener of your show.
That's a lot of people have found us through them, and we've kind of shared a lot of fans, and even there was one person that found them through us, which is pretty cool. And now we have the Porch podcast to kind of tack onto this too, and we have a little podcast community here, and it's pretty cool. So I'm glad that we're able to kind of share and share the community. So this is going to be fun, and I want to talk to you. And you're from France.
Yes.
So I want to talk to you about a couple of things, about Pearl Jam, and not just Pearl Jam, but about going to see them on tour internationally. And we kind of talked about this when we talked a couple of days ago. But touring in Europe and going to see the band in Europe, how much different is that than going to see in the U.S.? And you haven't, just to clarify, you haven't seen any shows in the U.S.
No, only in Europe.
Only in Europe. So what's it like that a lot of people say it's different than following the band? It's a lot easier.
Probably because the distance are shorter. So I live in the northeast of France, meaning that I'm very close to the border with Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland are not that far, Italy either. So for some show I just drive. For example, I attend 2 shows in Belgium, in Werther. It's only a 2-hour drive, so generally I just work, go to the show in the evening and come back just after the show and work the other day, so it's easier. And for a show for which I have to take a flight, for example in London, Berlin, or Milan, it's quite easy. Flights are quite cheaper if you book in advance. Accommodation is not that expensive, and so I think it's quite easy to do. A lot of Europeans are following the bands, and more and more Americans from the East Coast are doing several European shows because they told me that it's easier to attend multiple dates in Europe compared to the US.
Yeah, it's funny when you say that because I was telling you that, during doing all these places in Europe and driving to all these places, it feels like it's a shorter commute than it would be some of the places like if we go to shows on the East Coast, we have Boston, we have New York, we have Philly, which are pretty drivable. But from Boston to Philly, it's about 6 hours or so a drive. So it's doable. But then outside of that area, you get to places like Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh to Philly's maybe 6 or 7 hours, which is a while. Hartford, which is in the middle, they'll do Hartford sometimes, but that's a nice one for New Yorkers and Boston people to both show up at because it's about 2 hours for both of them. And it's nice for me because it's almost nothing for me. And then you got Buffalo, which is about 6 hours, north. And outside of that, other places, they don't really do DC anymore. Other places in Virginia's a long drive. A lot of people wouldn't want to do that. So you're right. It's tougher. I since we're on 2014 here, I'll kind of, go back to that Memphis show, that the two shows that were sandwiched in between, one was Austin City Limits in Texas, then Memphis, and then Detroit. So if you want to follow the band, you have to spend quite a bit of money in order to do that here. And I think it seems like in Europe, it's a lot easier to deal with.
Because in Europe you can take flights, you can take trains, you can take a car, and there are even some group of fans that are renting private bus to follow the bands. So, and the distance are shorter, so it's doable. Maybe not all the show, but if you want to, in 2018 I went to 7 shows, and we have also back-to-back dates. So if you have two dates in London, 2 dates in Amsterdam, 1 in Belgium, 1 in Germany, okay, it's really doable.
Yeah, it's definitely a luxury for those shows. Big places like London and Amsterdam usually have 2 nights that they do back-to-back. So yeah, that is definitely a luxury that we only get, again, in bigger places, Philly, New York, that will get the back-to-backs. But, if you live in, Detroit, you're not going to get back-to-back shows in Detroit, and that's kind of a distance to drive other places.
Yes, and I would say everywhere you live in Europe, if you are not far from an airport, reaching London is not that much. For example, for me, it's only a 1 hour flight. It probably cost me less than $75. So,
wow.
No, you just have to book everything in advance, and you're fine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I took a plane to DC, and that's about a little less than an hour, and I spent more than $75 for my plane ticket both ways. So that it's totally, I envy you guys. You guys have it good. U.S. is all just about the mighty capitalism, making the dollar. Understand it, but it hurts. It hurts when you want to go and follow on tour. So.
Yeah. No, and I think also it's also easier to get tickets because there is probably less demand than compared to the East Coast, for example. When you have only 2 dates in New York, obviously the market is bigger than 2 dates in Amsterdam.
That makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you about growing up and listening to the band, because when we were talking the other day, you said that through what we would call middle school is when you started to learn English, and that's kind of when you started to get into the band. But for people out there that might not realize it, how difficult is it to get into a band that doesn't necessarily sing in the language, or music is a universal language, so that I understand, but like not necessarily processing the lyrics in English while but loving the music.
Yes, I mean, I would say we are kind of used to listening to music that we don't understand. Obviously, when you're young, when I discovered Pearl Jam, I was 13 years old, and I had only 1 year. I just began to practice English, so I did not get all the words and all the meanings. But I would say music come first, and the vibe come first, and the attitude come first. So I don't know, it's something quite natural for us to hear songs that we don't fully understand, because in French radio you can hear music in French, in English, in Italian, in Spanish, sometimes in German, and you don't get the lyrics, but somehow you can connect to a song without understanding the lyrics. It should feel strange for you. It's hard to explain, but for example, the first time that I hear Jeremy, I think I get the whole. I do not get all the meaning of the songs, but I was hooked by the energy, the way the song was constructed, and so on. So I would say music come first and lyrics come after.
That makes a lot of sense, and the one thing that I will kind of bring up, on our side of the pond, and America is spoiled. We have everything. All of our movies are in our native language. All of our music is in our native language, and if it isn't, it can easily be translated. But one of the things that wasn't, I've been trying to think of a good way to define it the last couple of days, and I think one of the best ways I can is when Rammstein came out with Du hast.
Yes.
And that was a really big hit in America, where at a time where you weren't hearing a German band, you weren't hearing that on American radio, and although we had really no idea what they were saying, we got the gist after a while, but it was very easy to understand the lyrics, and not just that, but like the music of that song, it kind of resonates with you, and everybody remembers du hast mich. It kind of gets ingrained in your memory. So I totally get that music can be a universal language, even if you have no idea what they're saying. You do get hooked on the energy, like you were saying.
Yes, exactly. For example, there's a band called the Mars Volta, and
Matt.
But the first songs from them that I listened to was actually sung in Spanish. It was Elvia, and I was hooked by the song in Spanish, and then I turned to all the catalog, and obviously almost all their songs are in English. But I would say it's the Spanish songs of the Mars Volta that turned me into this band. So sometimes
that's interesting. I didn't even know they had Spanish songs.
Yes, they had Spanish song, at least one.
Yeah, I think because I know they were huge over there. I thought they were Spanish, actually. I might be wrong on that.
Yes, they are from El Paso, Texas.
Oh, okay. Okay, then that makes sense. That's the border. But Matt and I have an interesting relationship with that band, as we've kind of seen them open up for about 8 different bands and have never understood them.
You know what?
So it's funny that you bring them up.
Yes, but because I've never saw them live, so I hope they will reform someday, just to be able to see them live. But I really dig their albums. But it's kind of a strange music.
A lot of their album stuff is very, very good, but yeah, live they can be a little hit or miss sometimes.
One of the things I wanted to bring up before we do get into this, that they actually there is a version of Du Hast out there that is an Americanized version. Have you ever heard this before?
Not this one, no.
It's in English, and it's it can go to show that, you know, maybe sometimes it's not better in English, that, you know, it can be worth it to be what it is. So
I knew that existed, but I've never heard it.
No, me either.
it's very awkward.
I'm sure it's pretty awkward.
You hate me. It's just
The thing with Rammstein though is they stayed popular over here.
really, I maybe it's just me. I thought that they kind of dropped off after that one. That was the one real popular one.
But they are still huge in Europe. You know, they will tour this summer, I think, and the doubts are sold out instantly.
Wow.
Oh yeah, they still sell out. They do
Yeah.
huge, gigantic tours. They're not going anywhere. They're still, I think, just as popular, if not more popular, than when that song came out here.
Yeah.
But again,
That's
I'm just talking because I know people that are actual fans. So
I would have guessed that, yeah, they're probably popular over in Germany and over in Europe, but I would never have guessed that they stuck to America as much as you say they have. So that's interesting.
yeah, apparently their live shows are like some of the most amazing things you could ever see.
I've seen clips, and from the clip that I remember,
Well, some of it's horrifying too.
yeah, I'm not, you know, this is not a PG show by any means, but I don't think I can repeat the things that I saw.
I've seen the same thing, and I don't want you to repeat it.
Yes, we all saw the same things.
That's great.
We'll put together a podcast, things we've seen live that we wish we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll be kind of like a therapy group. Oh boy. Let's get into the show now. Since we have it here, this is Italy, and they were kind of doing this. This is, you know, the album came out 2013 for Lightning Bolt, and they did a pretty sizable U.S. tour for it in the fall, and this was the first time they really hit the Europe for it. And this is, I believe, the third show in that swing, and then after this they went on to play all this, pretty much the same kind of venues that they played this past summer. You know, the Amsterdams, Berlin, Milan. I'm sure they played Barcelona and some other places. And then they went on to, later in the year, play the Midwestern leg, like Memphis and Detroit that we were saying before. Let's get into it, though. We don't have a recording of this, but it kicks off with Eddie doing Acoustic Porch beforehand.
Yes, exactly.
And, we've talked about Acoustic Porch.
You can go check it out on YouTube. The full concert does have the opening as well.
Oh, I didn't hear. I listened to the YouTube version. I did not hear Acoustic Porch.
So there's two different videos with the full concert. The first one has the Acoustic Porch attached to it.
Got it. Okay. Is it as bad as we've been?
Well, I'll put it this way: it's Acoustic Porch. So you could.
All right. We won't spend too much time on it, but I do want to ask, what was the crowd like when Eddie came out there alone? Because that doesn't happen in this modern era of Pearl Jam. This is kind of a thing that they did from 1995 through maybe 2003 or so.
Yeah, no, it was a nice surprise because we were queuing since 8 a.m. and we entered the venue, I think at 4 p.m. It was very hot, and it was kind of let's say provide us some stamina for the show, because I think once you have waited all day long, you get in the venue and you still have maybe 6 hours to wait. It's super hot and so on. So it was a nice surprise to have Eddie just for one song. I would say it was a regular acoustic Porch rendition, but people were really enjoying it.
Yeah, and Randy, you know that we're not huge fans of that, or more specifically that song acoustic, but it definitely is cool when I see it as like a thank you to the audience.
Yeah.
It's not even a real warm up, or I mean, you could call it a warm up. I'll touch on it actually when we get further in the set when we bring it back. But it's a way to just say thank you, I think.
Yes. No, and I think Porch it was a nice pick because it was a stadium. It was super hot, super sunny, and so on. So I think this song was, I would say, quite appropriate for this kind of venue.
You said it best. I mean, you're out there, you're waiting on the GA line since 8 a.m. Do you have any good GA line stories from this night, or?
No, it was, I would say, in 2014, almost all GAs were kind of the same. So you arrive early, someone had a book in which he puts your name, so you can sometimes just take a break and come back in the comeback queuing. But I would say people were super friendly. I don't know how is it in the US, but in Europe, every time I have attended to a Pearl Jam show, people are very super friendly, super talkative. I'm generally quite shy, but whenever I'm waiting for Pearl Jam, I'm open to discuss with everyone, and everyone was super kind.
All of my experiences at every Pearl Jam show that I've been to, except for the one festival show that I went to, I've experienced just the best fans in the world. People that you can easily go up to, and if you're not, because sometimes I've gone to shows by myself and I've been waiting in line, and sometimes I listen to people talk and have conversations about other shows, and I'm waiting for a trigger word. And if they say a certain trigger word, then I'm kind of like, oh, I know what you're talking about. And I kind of jump in, and everybody's really like, oh, cool, somebody else is jumping in to talk about this, and there's another person. And everybody's really passionate about it. They just want to talk about the band, and they all kind of love it,
So it's exactly the same in Europe, because I always come by myself at Pearl Jam shows, meaning that I have to sell the tickets every time, and every time people are helping me selling my spare ticket and so on. So no, people are very super kind.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I don't have somebody to go with the Memphis show that aforementioned before, I had to sell my ticket to somebody else just because I wanted to get to the show. So I totally understand. But then when you get there and you realize you're surrounded by so many people, you never feel alone. So that's a really, really good feeling. This show opens up with a very electric version of Release. The crowd is hypnotic from the get-go on this. It sounds like there isn't a single person in the crowd not singing every word or humming the beginning. And it's exactly what you want out of opening with Release. I think maybe people out there think that it's become a little overdone to open with it, but the people that do expect it, that really love it in this spot, cherish it, and you can tell from this moment that this was the song about 75% of the fans wanted them to open with this night.
No, definitely, and it's 65,000 attendees, so in a stadium, I think really is a nice pick. I think it's the appropriate song to start a show in a stadium when everybody is very waiting for you, because they. If I remember well, in 2012 they skipped Italy, meaning that Italian fans have to wait 4 years to get a show. So people were really enthusiastic, passionate, and yes, I think it was the appropriate song to start the show.
Yeah, you gotta see the video. This crowd is enormous. It's really something.
Yeah, and when we were in the pit, you get an echoes. They're so. So it was awesome.
How much movement was there in the pit to start with?
Now I would say during the first four song it was fine, because it was let's say slow burn song, so it was okay.
That's good. I wouldn't want people pushing me around or anything during any of the slow burn songs, but I wouldn't want people pushing me around during any songs. But I certainly would understand if the first non-slow burn song out of the gate does, that we'll get to in a sec, does incite a little bit of energy. So yeah, not much more on release. If anybody has something else, just shout, you know?
No, I think for me it was very an awesome rendition of the song with a huge communion. So yeah.
Yeah, sounded great.
From that, it goes into Nothing Man, and again, the crowd is right on top of this one. And I got my pleasure to have in class. Band was tight and sounded really good as my notes. And Nothing Man seems to come up every 2 to 3 shows here. It doesn't come up too often. So if this version sounded great though. That's all I got for it.
Yes, everybody was really into the song, and I think you never know with when you just hear the bootlegs, you don't know if how you will hear the crowd. But I think on these bootlegs, I really like how they master this bootleg, because I think it's a fair rendition of what was going on at the show.
Yeah, it's definitely really well put together and mastered. It does sound good. We've had 2 really good mixed bootlegs back to back here, which was a pleasure to have. But yeah, Nothing Man early is, of course, I love it. I love it anywhere, but I love this opening. And yeah, Randy, you gotta watch the video. There's a lot of I'd say 3rd or 4th row pit video from it, and you could tell this crowd is very emotional, and they're emotionally invested from the first song pretty much all the way through, and it doesn't look like it's a rowdy crowd. It looks like I wrote down, this is a crowd that I want to see a show with, because it's gigantic and they're singing every word. Every song has hands up in the air. It was one of my favorite things to watch since doing the show, was the live video of this, because the crowd looks, like I said, it's a crowd you want to be in.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that I didn't get to find that YouTube version, because I did look for it on YouTube, because you mentioned you looked and found it on YouTube, and I only found the boot, so that's what I ended up listening to from YouTube. But that was just this on my second go around. But I really wish I could have seen this crowd to give it a better feel, because the way that both of you are describing it just sounds like just about the perfect scenario. Now here's where we get a little interesting here. The next 2 are not your everyday placements for these songs, and in a set where a lot of stuff is pretty much where you would expect it to be, these aren't. So we're going to start off by playing the beginning of this one that is part of the slow burn, but again, we'll get into it. But here's the 3rd song of the night, Sirens.
Hear the sirens. Oh, hear the sirens. Hear the sirens. The circus so profound. I hear the sirens more and more in this here town. Let me reach across the band and reach across the bend, just to know where safe I am. Grateful man, the slightest bit of light, and I can see you clear. Have to take your hand and feel your breath, for fear this someday will be over.
This is a little bit of a strange spot for this song, and that's just looking at the set on paper. I was a little confused, because you package it with the next song, and it's like, wow, they're really kind of killing a lot of buzz songs that usually get played late in sets really early, and I'm a little confused by it. But when you hear the song played early, I think it has a lot more impact than when it's played mid-set, because usually if it's played like, 2 or 3 songs after even flow and kind of like the dead first mid first set spot, you kind of zone out a little bit because it's not the most singable song, and it's kind of a depressing song in a way. And I've said before, if you hear the song and if you're not with a loved one, it's a little awkward. So it was a happy surprise to actually hear it in this spot. I think I liked it a lot better than I thought I would.
Aurelian, I just wanted to make a quick point about this, because I had a question to ask you that comes from this song and then leads into the next one. So my thought process was, when this started, I thought, is it extending this slow burn a little bit too long? But I don't think it is, because I don't really love this song really anywhere it is, but it is very interesting to continue this experimental and interesting slow burn. But you could finish this big at the same time, because Mike shreds a solo, and it really changes the dynamic of the quote-unquote slow burn in an instant, basically, and it's really great. It sounded amazing. It was I thought it was a great transition. With the next song coming up, even though it's really out of left field, I don't think anyone cares, because it's a great way to top off this whole intro, but it's also a great way to segue out of a pretty awesome solo in Sirens from Mike. And I was wondering, when you were there, if that's sort of how you felt about it.
I have to say, I'm not the biggest fan of Sirens, because I think it's maybe a little too. I think the songs should be shorter. But at this part,
I agree with that.
But
yes, third here.
So when you hear Sirens, and it's during the first encore or something, you kind of say, okay, I just want the next song. But at this spot, it was very nice, and people were really into at the end of the song, so they are all these things, that everybody was really into it. No, I think it was nice. When you just look at the set list on the paper, you say, okay, it's kind of strange and awkward to play Sirens as Black this earlier in the show, but it works very, very well.
And you said it right there. One of the best parts about the song was the crowd interaction and participation at the end. This is something that they've typically done with Sirens, but we're going to take a listen to it, because I think an ongoing theme of this show is just how well transitions from song to songs were executed. And there's one in particular that we're going to have to bring up for later, Matt, that we've mentioned on the last 5 shows or so, and I think you know where I'm going with that.
I think I do, yeah.
So why don't we listen to that little part at the end where the crowd is participating, and it's gonna flow real easy and even right into Black. So why don't we listen to that right now, and then we'll talk about the number 4 song being Black. That'll be interesting.
canvas on torn sheets of clay. Lay spread out before me as her body was there.
So Black here is again not a place that you would expect this song. It's another very strange placement for a song that pours out so much emotion, and it's usually saved for very high points in the set because of what they do with it, with the tags, and sometimes Mike going a little crazy with it.
I absolutely love it here. Absolutely love it.
I didn't mind it either. I thought it was cool. I thought it sounded really good, and it's all about how things transition one to the other. And I think because the transition from Sirens works so well, that's what really got me into this. If it was another song that maybe didn't quite hit the mark, then maybe I would have said, what, Black Early isn't very good. But this all meshed really well together.
Yes, I fully agree. It was awesome, and I think I'm wondering why they don't play this kind of first batch of songs this way, because I don't remember if at other shows they generally you have one or two slow burn and that's it. But with 4 slow burn with 2 long songs, I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's kind of the only time that I hear them playing this way.
Yeah,
it's not a common occurrence. I think in some of the bigger stadium shows the last couple of years, they have done a bigger slow burn. Wrigley 2013 comes to mind because mainly because that was a first set in its own. But all of those songs, I think it was 7 or 8 songs to start with, were all, very mild paced songs. It was Release and Comeback and Elderly Woman and even Hold On in there, which is not like the most up tempo song in the world. But that's sort of, I think that was really the kickoff of that. And then you would get stuff on this Lightning Bolt tour that either 3 song slow burn into something like Go, or into something like Corduroy. You would get Pendulum sometimes into Low Light, or like we had here, which was a little longer. But it's not an experiment that I think that they should toy with on a regular basis to put Black as the 4th song in. And looking at some of the other shows from this European tour, the next night in another venue in Italy, I can't remember what venue it was, they actually did, it's very similar, Release, Low Light, Black, and then Sirens. So they kind of changed it up, and there's a couple other shows within this tour where they do Black this early. So that's, this is great though, and the crowd again is really they are the winners here. They are the 7th man, so to speak. And
this is where I wrote. This is where I noticed this is the crowd that I'd want to see a show with on this performance. Specifically, it was really good, and yeah, if anything, this is interesting, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about, right? Interesting things in sets, but unfortunately about this, I thought the "We Belong Together" tag was not good here. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I was
the crowd saved it. The crowd was really good.
I didn't like it because I thought Eddie sang it like shit, but the crowd saved it for sure.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite tag for Black, so I was maybe kind of biased, but I really enjoyed it at the time.
I'm sure being there too is different.
Yeah.
Listening back, you really just focus in on a performance, and I didn't think it was performed that well, but I'm sure being there is, with 65,000 other people, it's probably the best thing in the entire world.
Yeah, definitely.
So we get that slow burn, that 4 songs, including the 2 that we never hear around this spot, and it goes into one of the best to come out of a slow burn, and it goes into Go. And really, my notes here are, it's showtime, here we go. This is where it just blows blows your mind. And now tell me about what's going on in the pit during this time.
I was second row at the beginning of the song, and I was maybe 10 or 11th row just at the end of the song. It was very rowdy, but I just came across the forums and just read the reviews, and I think it really depends on when you are, because sometimes you can be at in front of mic or in front of Stone, and the experience is very different. So my experience, I was dead center in front of Eddie, and it was very rowdy. But once I was maybe a few rows back, it was for the remaining of the show was really enjoyable. So there was some movement, but people were really caring about each other. So it was apart from Go, I think I enjoyed most of the show in the pit. But during Go, it was hard.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you at this point, after that opening set of songs, what was going through your mind? What, you must have been thinking, what the hell is going to happen next after you get Black as the fourth song? So I'm sure when they started playing Go, it was probably a pretty great moment.
Yeah, no, they play the first note. It was insane. Everybody was moving, was jumping, and so on. So yes, it was.
Yeah. And after that opener, I mean, it really doesn't get any better here for me. I don't have any notes for it. Its placement and its impact is everything that I would want. That's basically all I have for it.
Yes, exactly. I would say, once again, Go is one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs. So, hearing it is always a pleasure for me.
Maybe that's why you're such a big fan of the show, because we can't say enough good things about Go in our 22 episodes of doing this. So yeah, this was an awesome way to kick it off. And not just that, but again, coming into play already within the first 6 songs is another excellent transition, and that's Go into Do the Evolution. And they wasted absolutely no time. They didn't even let the crowd really react. They just they hammered it home. The last note, bam, da na 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 na, and they go into it. And we've talked about it so many times how Evolution really works in just about every spot in the set. But this one, I really, really enjoyed it here.
Yes, and all the Alleluia sing and so on. So everyone once again was really into it. I think in Italy the crowd was very great. People were singing along all the words during all the show. It was an only 3 hours show, but I haven't felt a kind of loss of energy at any point of the set. People were 100% Pearl Jam during all the set.
Yeah, Randy and I like this when it's late. We like it when it's early. It's Do the Evolution. Put it anywhere you want. The only thing I had for this one was I thought this was really sloppy, even though it was a great spot after Go. But Jeff and Matt are just not together on this one.
Yeah, I had written that they're playing it at mega speed, and it feels like they're just tripping over themselves just a little bit in certain spots. It did sound like there was something off. Your ear is better than my ear.
Well, here's the problem I had with the show in general. Even though it's a really interesting set and the crowd is amazing, we've had some really, really good Jeff shows lately. This was not a good Jeff show.
I 100% agree with you.
This is not.
I've made notes throughout this whole thing. Yeah, you're 100% right. You're the bassist. I'm not a bassist. But it's funny. We just, I guess it's rubbing off on me or something like that. I don't know. One of the things, going back to something that you said before, really, the crowd. You said the crowd is really dictating this. They are controlling it. And one of the things I really noticed was the whoa, that part. Sometimes they'll do that, and sometimes they'll do Admire Me, Admire My Home. And the crowd, basically, Eddie could have gone up to the mic and would have been like, all right, I'm about to say Admire Me, Admire My Home, but the crowd said, no, we're doing it this way, damn it.
I heard,
and you're going to like it.
I heard that, and I was going to ask you, Aurelian, because it sounds like the crowd was just saying to the band, "No, we're not ready to stop hollering back at you yet." That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, no, I think it was. But I think, if I remember it, all the rendition of Do Violation that I saw, it was the oh every time. So I think maybe in Europe we are used to sing it this way, and this is the way that we want to sing it.
Yeah, it's kind of back and forth for me. Maybe it was around this time, maybe it was the Lightning Bolt tour. I thought it was earlier. I thought that I had been hearing it all the time on the Backspacer tour where they were doing that. But you could be right. It could be the Lightning Bolt tour. But again, I think what's really good about this crowd is they get the cues, and it's like they listen to more bootlegs than anybody else because it's so important. There's so many cues and so many little things that Pearl Jam does live that they don't do on albums, and the crowd knows them right away, and this is one of them. It's special.
We've discussed that before, where these improvs have actually become more of the song than the album version now, and that's what you expect live. And yeah, this crowd was on top of all of it.
I know that I'm not alone, but I almost never listen to the studio version. I listen a lot to lots and tons of bootlegs, meaning that I rarely listen to studio version.
I'm with you on that one. I love to hear how songs sound live, and every now and then you got to go and listen to the studio version just to remember what it actually sounded like. And I bring that up later on. I think I mentioned it to you, Randy, before we started recording, but there's actually an example of that coming up because some songs don't translate as well live either, which we see sometimes.
Yeah, to be honest with you, since starting the show, my listening to bootlegs, percentage of listening to bootlegs against percentage of listening to studio albums, it's probably like 92 to 8%. So yeah, that's that discretion.
But Randy, we have to do it.
But we do it out of love.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
What
I listen to shows we don't even cover.
What I'm saying is, isn't it nice to have the excuse that I have to do it?
There is no possible way to make that answer and answer it over 100%, but yes, 100%.
Oh no, I can't. I can't. I have to listen to a Pearl Jam bootleg. I have to do it.
All right, let's move on here. We're in this little section here. I would consider these three songs its own section, and then kind of the next two their own section. We'll get into that in a sec. Corduroy follows Do the Evolution. It's a very fast version. Again, almost tripping over themselves, but the energy is good enough for it not to be noticeable. By the book enough where there's no bullshit or experimenting. There's no, where the crowd is singing everything has changed. Absolutely. Yeah. I caught myself. Everything has changed. Absolutely nothing's changed. Damn it. What I was trying to say was that when they do that they kind of stop and let the crowd sing it, and then Ed sings it himself right afterwards. They don't do any of that here. This is straightforward.
This is doing exactly what we like it to do. If it's not in the number 2 or 3 spot, it's wrapping up a little bit of a portion of the beginning of the set. It's well placed, and it does exactly what we like it to do when it's not super, super early. So, yeah, I thought this was a home run placement, and it's a nice way to cap it off before a small little talk break. I thought it was fine. Yeah,
totally. And I like the fact that it was at the time I didn't know, but it's the regular bridge, because in 2018 there is this kind of extended bridge with people chanting and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of maybe annoyed by it. I don't know, it did not sound very great in my ears, so I like the standard, the straightforward corduroy.
A lot of people have come back to me and said that corduroy is not the version that they usually like, and they say it more off the basis if you're there live, you can kind of handle it and kind of join in the crowd and it's fun, but listening to it back on the bootleg, they're not a fan of.
It kind of kills momentum a little bit, and even when you are there, I like corduroy when it's super straightforward, because you could kind of keep moving to the entire thing, and then when they extend it a little bit, I feel like it it drags it down a little bit for me personally.
No, I fully agree.
Okay, I was about to say that I think the only time where you can get away with that is in the rare times that it's closing a set, that it's taking the place of something like Porch, where Porch is elongated to, a 10-minute song, rather than, I don't even know how long the album version of Porch is now because I haven't listened to it in so long, but I think that's the only time you can really get away with it and do something special is if you're closing a set with it. Disagree or agree in it?
No, that's true. It's not
Okay.
It's not preferred, but only because I don't think I would like it that late in the set. But if they were going to do it, I would rather it be done that way. Sure.
Yeah, me too. I think it's the same thing. I like corduroy in the earlier in the set. So, and standard version is the best.
We're going to get along just fine.
All right, a little talking break here. Does anybody speak Italian here?
No.
No? Okay. Ed couldn't speak the show in French. What's wrong with me today? Only if he spoke French in Italy, then we wouldn't have a problem.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to translate what he's saying here. So there's going to be a lot of times in the show where he's talking in very fluent Italian, and I don't know. I don't even have a guess.
I think there were some words that he wasn't able to pronounce as well as others. Maybe they were new to him, so you could tell when he might have said some phrases before, and then maybe some other things that someone wrote down for him backstage that he had never said. You got to, like we said last week, though. You got to give him credit for that at least, though, and the crowd loves it. I think he doesn't have to go out there and say anything, but he tries, and I think
they know he's trying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the only artist that I've saw play in Europe who is making this kind of effort to prepare a speech in the language of the people and so on. He's the only one who is doing it, I would say, or maybe of all the bands and the artists that I've saw, he's the only one who is doing it.
Definitely. Well, he appreciates and realizes what the whole band realizes and appreciates what people in Europe do to go see them, and it's not regulated just to the United States. They're a worldwide act, and they know that. I mean, look at the size of this crowd. And they've been doing it for so many years. So they're humble about that, and I don't think they will ever overlook fan appreciation like that.
Comparing this to last week's show, and this is almost 20 years after that Barcelona show that we did last week, but Ed seemed a lot shyer in that show when having to address the crowd because he knew he didn't really speak Spanish at all, but here he's really confident. Even if he does fuck up a word or two, he's really confident in addressing the crowd. And
well, he has fun with it. It's not like a stressful moment for him. He laughs and mixes in the English words, and people love it.
He's a much different person now than he was then. So definitely give him a lot of credit for that. And like you said, really, nobody else is doing this. So just that he's doing this is just a treasure in itself.
Just keep doing it.
Exactly. We get into the next ones here. I'm blending these both together because I wanted to kind of make a point here on both of them. It's Lightning Bolt into Mind Your Manners, and I think this was kind of a staple of this whole entire tour, from 2013 to 2014, that these two would kind of, in more shows than not, be played back to back, and I would say in almost 100% of their shows during this time, both of them would be played. But I think it's time to kind of retire these songs a little bit. Just so fans don't feel like they're hung up on Lightning Bolt. Like, bring them back every third show. And
I was going to say every third show.
Yeah, even Mind Your Manners sometimes, I think that in 2018, they played it probably, if they did 26 shows, they probably played it in 21 or 22. So
I think it's just such an easy song to pop in there. You know what I
right.
mean?
It
don't
takes no time.
They don't
and
do
it feels like
anything
there's
with
a lot
it,
more songs.
and you could, yeah.
I think I really enjoy Lightning Bolt because I like the way the song builds and so on, but Minor Minors is maybe, I don't know, the song is maybe too, I don't know, it's too direct, too, I don't think that it's a really, maybe it's divisive, but I don't think it's a really interesting song. I would say maybe not about the lyrics, but how the chords are played and so on. I don't really think it's a great song.
I could agree with you. I do like it a lot. I like the fast pace. I like that it's quick, but I do understand 100% what you're saying with it because I think a lot of people feel that way. And then on the flip side, Randy, I might surprise you with this. Maybe I might not surprise you, but I still don't care at all for Lightning Bolt. I still don't like the song.
Me. Doesn't surprise me.
But, dude, the placement here, awesome way to start it back up after a little talk break. I thought it was, like I said, I don't care for the song, but it was awesome here. I thought it worked really well, and I thought it sounded really good here. I think it served its purpose with, like what you said with the build and going into Minor Manners. I thought that was a good spot. You built it back up with Lightning Bolt, and then you go hard with Minor Manners, which is what I like about the song. But this one fell flat for me. I thought it was a little bare and a little weak, and Jeff is a mess on it. Matt's backups that usually crush on the chorus of the song was also just okay. So
I think it was very standard at that time to kind of throw Lightning Bolt middle of that opening sequence. And this set is a little different.
But after a little talk break there, it really works.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I feel like personally I've seen that before, and I don't feel like it's mixing it up too much. It does work, and stick with what works. I won't, I do like the song. I like it more than you do, Matt. But I'm okay with when things do work, and it's just standard. That's all I have to say is that this time period you were seeing both of these songs very early in the set, and going forward into the future, I would like them to find a different way to incorporate both of them. So let's move forward with Ed speaking a universal language. Yes, and he. I can't remember exactly what he was doing, but this was the worst transition into any song. Ed, after his yeahs and he-he's, he says the next song is a Jeff Ament song and introduces Jeff Ament. And going into Pilot, happy belated birthday to Yield, turning 21 last week, this past Sunday. So happy birthday, Yield, my favorite record.
And Boom.
Happy birthday, Boom, my favorite B12 player, B2 player, whatever. What is it, B12 or B2?
Is that the B3?
That'll be left on a cutting board floor. Okay, yeah. Happy birthday, Boom.
Happy Boom
Fuck
Day.
all of you. Happy Boom Day, everybody. My favorite Pearl Jam organist, or just organist of all time. Anyway,
that's all staying in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It was gold, Jerry, gold.
Fuck you. Pilot here. You have some things to say about it. I'm just gonna start by saying that this is their polite golf clap song, where every time that I've heard it in a bootleg, it doesn't elicit much more of a reaction than like a very polite
golf clap. Golf clap.
The best way I can describe it is the way a crowd would react to, Peter, Paul, and Mary playing, I don't know, Puff the Magic Dragon.
A Peter, Paul, and Mary song. Okay, I wasn't sure if you were going to come up with one.
I was trying to think of the other one. Kiss me. I can't even remember the name of the song. Hope you that will wait for me. Blah, blah, blah. Leaving on a jet plane. God damn it.
I was hoping you were going to sing the whole song to get to the chorus to get the name of it.
No, I am not going to do what Cartman does on I'm Sailing Away, where if somebody sings the song, he has to finish the song anyway. Yeah, it's kind of their polite golf clap song, where people kind of understand that it's rare, but they aren't really excited for it, and they really don't know how to react to it. So a polite clap is about all they can do, and it sounded fine to me. It's not like it killed the set or anything like that, but it's kind of, nobody in the crowd is saying, "Oh my God, they're playing Pilot. Jeez, cross this one off." And I like the song, and I'm not trying to disparage the song at all. So
Yes, I agree. I think it was it was okay. I would say people like me. It was the first time that I saw the song, so it's fine for my stats. But otherwise, it's not one of my favorite. And I think it's the kind of song that is kind of does not really translate well live. I think a few weeks ago you discussed about Marker in the Sand, and I kind of the same feeling. I like the studio version, but playing live, I don't know.
I swear to God that Aurelian is not sitting next to me in New York right now, but I will tell you that my notes start off by saying, let me ask you a question. Do you feel this song translates live well? And you just answered the question before I got to ask it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, we're on the same page. And you know what it is? I do like this song. Randy, I was mentioning it to you when we were deciding what we were going to play. And it's a little generic live. It is a little faster. You know what it is, but it's also a song where it's like, this is basically the best place to put it because it's a song that really doesn't need to go in a specific spot, and I think it's tough to place. I don't know where I'd put it. I would put it here, honestly. It's the live production that I think takes something away from it because this song sounds better as like a garage band recording, like on Yield. It sounds way better recorded. It's got a sound you cannot produce live. It almost sounds too good live, if that makes any sense. The feel and the tone in the chorus, the like Pilot part, they don't play it the same live. It doesn't sound the same, and this is what I was going to say before. I like the recording a lot better. I had to go back and listen to the recording today after re-listening to this song, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have it. I'm happy to see it pop up on the show, but I got to go recording on this one.
I think that Yield is their to me, and not just it's my favorite album, but I think it's their best produced album. Where the minute that I hear these songs, I get images in my head of where the song is taking me, and it's more of a mental aspect and visual aspect than it is just a listening aspect to the song. And I think Pilot is in that boat where there's a lot more emotion into the studio recorded version that can't really be replicated live, and it's not something I really know how to explain, but I mean, it's the same, maybe not the same kind of thing that I have with Give It a Fly, but the studio version definitely enhances what this song should be, and
No, I agree. I think you're actually describing it perfectly, because on the flip side, I could say the same thing about Avocado, and yours is more of a feel, and I definitely understand that. Yield has a feel, Avocado has a feel, and this song, especially, I mean, like I said, I really like Pilot on the album. I really, really like the song, but you don't feel it the same way live, and it's like with Avocado is such a garage sound to it, this really underproduced album that makes it my favorite. I mean, it's because of how it sounds. It sounds so damn good. And then live they'll come out and they'll speed up every single song just to make it hard and heavy, because that's kind of what their mindset was when they were writing that album. You don't have to do that, because you lose all the feel of what makes that album and those songs great. And I think that's why people don't like when Avocado songs are played live, because they don't really play them that well all the time. And I think Pilot falls into that same category.
Yeah, and we talked about this. We've talked about it a lot, just how amazing it was that they never played Low Light until way after Yield was released, and now it's a set list staple, and it's an amazing live song.
If it took them that long though to get the emotion and the feel of that song to translate how it translates live now, then I'm glad that they waited, because
yeah, sure. It just means that they kind of had an understanding of how they treated that song. And you can play songs and you can hear yourself play the songs and say like, okay, there's something that just doesn't feel right. And it always goes back to speed of sound and how speed of sound sounds live. And there's something about it that makes it sound like a mess. And I could see it in their eyes that they want the song, they like the song, they want it to sound really good, and they can't put it together. And I'm gonna guess that Low Light at some point was just, they played it and they all looked at each other and said, "Oh shit, we made it work." And maybe Pilot is not really one of those that they can do that with. So that's kind of where we are with it. But this little stretch here, I love, especially that this is kind of Yield week here. We're getting a lot of Yield in this section, so it's good that we're talking about it. And we transition right into two songs, not one not off Yield, but one is very much attached to Yield. We are going to have a live on Four Legs debut for both of these songs, and we're going to hear both of them and transitioning into both. Here is Untitled into MFC.
Got a car, got a little car, got some gas. Baby, let's get out of here. Get the fuck out of here fast. Everyone's confused. They're all stuck in their rooms. I wanna go, but I don't wanna go alone. I hope you get my message on your mobile. I could be there in 24 minutes or so. You don't have to take no offense. Poor tackle in the sea. I wanna go where I don't want to go alone. With you, I could never feel alone. Into drive-ins, you wanna turn it right then, stay up in the sunset, you're right. Remember a time that I stood by the side of the road, now she's out on the road and
like I said, live on Four Legs debut for both of these songs, and two songs I've never heard MFC live, and I think the only time you'll really hear Untitled is through MFC. But I love when they do that intro. I feel like it brings a lot more depth into a song that's really live. It's just kind of a fast song. It's another one-off Yield that it's fine live, but it doesn't have that same vibe that it does on the studio album. But I mean, I'm digging it. I love everything about it. So, you know, I'm just very protective off of the studio album versions of songs off of Yield. Same with what we were saying before with Pilot. So
yeah. I really had nothing to say here. I said, yeah, pick it back up, keep it going. I thought it sounded great. It was fun to see, fun to hear, and
Yes, me too. I think MFC as a standalone, I'm not a big fan, but with Untitled, I think that the package of these two songs works very well. And I like the fact that, in a kind of way, when Untitled and Gone and Review Mirror, you get kind of the same, this kind of car song and so on. So I like the way of these all these car songs are related one to another.
it's a good point.
Yeah, no, all those songs, they definitely fit in the same category. I was kind of thinking the same thing before. I didn't write it in my notes, but I would even add Gone into that category. Just another song, just getting into the car and just kind of going off and just sort of, trying to find something new or just try to get away from something. And, MFC definitely fits in that mold. But I love how Untitled goes into it, because I was trying to look today and I wanted to see, I didn't really know the history behind what Untitled was about. And really what I've gathered from it is it's an extension of MFC, that it has just sort of the same pacing, and that's kind of how it developed. So to me, everything sounded really good, and Ed afterwards said he wrote everything while he was high. So
yes, and if I'm not wrong, MFC was written in Italy or written about cars that he saw in Italy.
Interesting.
Oh,
that
interesting.
I did not know that.
I read that somewhere. I don't know if it's accurate, but
I'm sure it's in the PJ20 book. If that's something we have to go and check out, I'll take a look. And we're gonna end this little Yield stretch here with Given a Fly, which was a complete abortion on this show.
Okay, I wouldn't say complete.
Well, okay.
Here's
at least Ed realized it was an abortion.
Well, I only say it wasn't completely because I thought the band sounded really full and punchy. The mix the performance was really, really good. But oops.
Big oops. So for those that don't have the bootleg or aren't following along as we speak about it,
should we just play it?
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to at this point.
Funny. It's funny.
Yeah. All right. That's fine. We'll play it. As you can tell, Ed fumbles twice, and it's recovered by the defense, and he has to go back to the sidelines and realize what he did. It was just not. It was not pretty in any way, but he accepted it. He accepted that he fucked up, and that's one of the things that he does constantly. Is if he fucks up, he will acknowledge it. So at least he did that.
Yeah, you could either laugh something off, or you could show 65,000 people that you're pissed off, and it's you're in a bad mood. Just laugh it off. You'll do it again the next night. It'll be fine. And I'm sure nobody there cared. It was, you laugh it off with them. I really don't mind it. I think it's funny when that type of stuff happens. And as long as you could have a good sense of humor about it, then yeah, that's all I ask for.
I think we've come a long way since our first episode where we were extremely critical about Eddie screwing up the lyrics on Elderly Woman. I think that we do too many callbacks to the first episode because I'm very critical of it, but that's, we pointed that out and we were basically like, they should never fuck up a song that they play every single night. And now we're just like, it happens.
I don't think you shouldn't ever, mess up. I think some are okay and it's going to happen, but there are some mess ups that I think are slightly avoidable, or should be avoided, or maybe unforgivable. And there's going to be a few that come up that I was able to pick out here. So this was fun. It's not that he doesn't know the words. He just, I don't know, whatever. Too much wine.
Shall we move on? You have anything on this early?
No. It was. I felt a kind of disappointed with this version when I was in the crowd, because it's obviously a fan favorite, and yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point. The crowd didn't pick him up.
No.
And they were just kind of waiting for him, and that's one of the very few down spots about the crowd. I think one of my favorite moments from the band that I've ever witnessed live was when Eddie screwed up the first lyric to Better Man, and the crowd completely picked him up.
Right. Now
the two are very different songs. Better Man is one of the most singable songs in their catalog, but this one the crowd really should have picked him up. But I guess they were probably as confused as he was.
Yeah, I think so.
So we move on here from Given a Fly into Who You Are, and one of the things I'll just spot out real quick that we are, how many songs in? 15 or so? No, like 14 songs into the set?
I think Who You Are is 15.
Is 15. I'm sorry. Is that not including Acoustic
I think it's
Porch?
14, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's still, just bringing it up that there's no even flow yet, and in the spot, 10 is usually where you would find even flow. So just bringing it out there that, it's not.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it too. I'm just saying.
I honestly don't think I don't think this set was ready for even flow yet, especially not back towards the mid set because of the slow burn opener. So yeah, no, even flow does not belong any earlier than where it shows up, I don't think, here.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think we'll talk about that a little more when even flow comes up. But it's Who You Are here, and we covered it last week. We can point out all you want that this is way more of a Jack song than it is a Matt song, like everything off of No Code, and just completely different styles. It's not as tribal sounding as Jack's version is, but man, the one thing that really stood out to me was how soft and not rigid, it wasn't potent. Jeff's bass solo here, there was just something that felt really weak about it.
I swear Randy is not sitting next to me in Long Island right now. Yeah, compared to last week's, I like Jack's drumming better on this song. And this is the first time I noticed, and it's going to pop up a few more times, is that Jeff's bass was absolutely weak on this song.
Yes, in the pit it was the same. We barely hear the bass.
That's a crime.
We'll point it out in a couple more songs down the line. But yeah, this was like we said earlier, this was not a very good night for Jeff, and it's unfortunate because I wouldn't want anybody to be at that show who's a really big Jeff fan that hasn't seen the band and be disappointed. But it was,
again,
this
is the luxury we have of being able to listen to a song 3 or 4 times and rewind it and go back to it, which is exactly what I did. So I'm sure live it was fine, but again, I was re-listening, and really dialing in on some stuff that he was doing. So it's the only way I could really comment on it is because I was able to do that. So if you were there and you loved how Jeff sounded, then I'm not going to say you're wrong about that because I fully believe you. It's just
but
that
we have somebody here that says they didn't love how Jeff sounded.
Well, there you go. So we can get then I don't feel bad.
Right from the first hand. So again, we're this deep into the set, and we are yet to get to even flow, and I just bring it up because it's just, again, it's one of those things that I think once you get to a certain point in the set, your mind goes, okay, is this the even flow mode? Is this the even flow? And then when they go something else, you're like, oh, all right, you're kind of pleasantly surprised. So I would have been very pleasantly surprised to hear sad here, and that's what happened. It sounds pretty damn good here to me. What do you think, Rolly?
Yes, it was. It is one of my favorite from the Lost Dogs. I really like how it sounds, and I would say that at the time I was really not, having listened to all of your shows, I kind of now dissecting the shows and seeing what should be where and so on. But at the time, I think I did not think about even flows. So I have attended to shows where even flow was not played, so I was not expecting even flow. So I just want to say that, at the time it was my 4th shows, and I was just kind of virgin regarding what would be the next song.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think after show like 7 or so is really when you start to get to understand trends. I mean, you kind of know them after about 5 or 4, but after a while, like 7 is where you can really start predicting stuff, and then once you get to the deep spots 10 or 15 in, you're kind of you sometimes get a little bit over your head. So
I don't really think that applies to the show, though. I think that the first 5 or 6 songs, I think, kind of threw everything out of whack a little bit, and it is a longer first set, so
it's very long. It's like 22 songs.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like, even flow being a little later, I didn't think it felt out of place. Like, on paper, you see it at song, whatever it is, 16, 17. It looks strange having it be that low, but when you consider the intro and the opening of the show, it feels like it's in its right spot, even though on paper it's much later, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's just, again, going back to just kind of retained memory here of knowing and going to and listening to so many bootlegs.
Right.
Just that even flow 10, 11, even 9, or a little earlier spot that it kind of clicks into your head like, okay, even after Given a Fly, you're kind of like, okay, this usually goes into even flow. This is around where I should expect it. But I feel like we're jipping sad here because this was a really good version of sad.
Yeah, I actually had 0 notes. I just wrote it sounded good. I didn't really have anything to say about it. I enjoyed it. When
this song succeeds, Matt shines. Matt sounded really good on this, I thought. Mm-hmm. So, and now we're here. Now we're at even flow.
And now we're at even flow.
Which is pretty much the even flow that you've grown to expect. Pits for even flow, though, man, this is like 10 minutes long. Are people still, at this point, it's a little over an hour into the set, are they still really, they're feeling the energy here?
I would say people around me were really into it. I think it's a song where Mike shines. I know I've heard sometimes people say, okay, it's a P-break song, but I can understand. For me, it's a really... I like the jamming part in Even Flow.
I think that's something that we've kind of backtracked on as well. We were quick to say that. I think more of in a joking way because it's expected, especially being in a certain spot. But I mean, I don't think I'm actually going to go and take a bathroom break during Even Flow. I'm going to want to see the whole thing, especially when Mike does a good solo. So we joke about it, but I agree with you. I think it could be something really fantastic to see. And I thought the momentum coming out of Sad for Even Flow here was awesome. So Sad into Even Flow, I like it.
Another good transition. One of very many, and many to come too. We'll get to them. And then Ed is actually speaking a little English afterwards, and he says, "What's easier if you guys move to Seattle or we move here?" And he says every 6 months we'll kind of switch off. And then he mentions that his family, everybody has their family there. There's some family of a certain member of the band that gets very gets a good shout out later. So we'll go into that. But he says maybe since all of our family's here, we'll just stay here. That'd be nice for you guys, but it would suck for us over in the good old US of A. This goes into Swallowed Whole, and what I'll say is I don't know, this was always one of those songs on Lightning Bolt that it never hit me. I think I like it a little more now than I did when the album first came out. It's kind of, it's in the middle of the threshold. The songs that I like the most being, Lightning Bolt and Getaway and Pendulum, and this is sort of like in that tier above the ones I don't like that are, Future Days and Let the Records Play and a couple of those other ones. But it's grown on me.
I like this one, particularly the bridge part and the solo part. I think it's really... Once again, for this one, I think I enjoy it very more. Seeing live was highly enjoyable, but I'm just okay with the studio version.
Yeah, Randy, I'm with you with the studio version. I think I like it more than some other songs on the album. Live though, it sounded great. I thought they were super tight with it, but I mean, it read to me as a total filler. It was repetitive. There really wasn't anything special about it, or special about its placement. So I don't know. It came off as a filler to me here.
All right, you want to play a little game here? A little 6 degrees of separation with this song. The lyrics Swallowed Whole, which is the song title, were used in what song? Can you guys, what Pearl Jam song?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. What is it?
Swallowed Whole is a lyric in Unthought Known.
Oh, really?
In that beginning part, yeah. Swallowed Whole in
Swallowed Whole in Negatives, I believe, right?
Negatives.
That's right.
I thought it was like Evidence or something like that. Yeah. It's kind of in the middle of that whole, lead up to Gems and Rhinestones.
Maybe Swallowed Whole is like a Unthought Known sequel.
Well, that's okay. So now, are you ready for another what Swallowed Whole connects to? It connects to a song that was covered by the band twice, back-to-back nights this year. Their last 2 shows that they played together.
Oh, come on. Taillights Fade.
Taillights Fade.
Ah, interesting.
That lyric kind of going into the bridge.
Oh.
So I knew
that's Buffalo Tom, right?
Buffalo Tom, right.
Okay.
I knew that lyric when they were they sound checked with it the night before the first Boston show, and when I saw that name, I'm like, oh, Taillights Fade. That sounds really familiar. I feel like I know that song. I didn't know the song. I knew that Taillights Fade was, somewhere in my head, I knew that was a lyric in Swallowed Whole.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's a little 6 degrees of separation game of sorts. Now, if we can find another song in Taillights Fade that's somewhere in there, I can't pick one out.
They say, "Watch my taillights fade to black."
Black. Well, we could do two with that. We could either do black or we could do fade to black.
Or you could do fade to black, exactly.
So we can play this game all day if we wanted to, folks.
All right, hold on. I'm going to go look up the lyrics to Fade to Black now. Jesus Christ.
Get out of here.
We're going down a hole here.
Ed points out a young man named Michael. It's his first concert, and says he'd like to ruin him by saying happy birthday to him, and then said, next time I'll see you, you'll be 15, and your dad won't be around, so we'll smoke pot together. So that was kind of funny.
You know what? I noticed I didn't really hear the crowd give like a really big reaction to that. Did they maybe not understand what that meant
I think so.
in English?
No, because it's, sometimes the sound is not that great when generally speaking, sometimes in a stadium the sound is not as great as you could expect, and when Ed was just speaking, it was sometimes hard to hear him or to understand.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think that not everyone catches the meaning of what he was saying. So,
Right.
Yeah, if he says it real quick, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. In America, that line would have been like standing ovation.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So that gets into Setting Forth, a song we've covered maybe one or two other times on the show, but really it's such a quick and to the point song, and it's not, it's about a minute or two and really doesn't do much but kind of fill into the next song.
Yes, I agree. It's a filler for me. They could have get rid of it, but if I remember well, I think that Matt is a fan of this song and is requesting Eddie to play it. I mean, during the last tour, I think I saw this song 1 or 2 times, and Ed told the crowd that it was a Matt request.
Interesting.
Okay, that I didn't know.
Not this Matt.
No.
Yeah.
The other Matt.
The Matt that matters.
2 fillers in a row. This song is, to me, an example of horribly pedestrian songwriting. It's typical. It's not interesting. I don't know why it's here.
Because Matt likes it, apparently.
Well,
but just not you, Matt likes it.
You know. Whatever. He's still Matt Cameron is still technically a filler too, so we better watch it.
Oh, yeah, just filling time for Dave to drop back in and get his Hall of Fame spot. Whoa.
Yeah.
I think Setting Forth and Untitled are a really good example of looking at a set list and seeing, whoa, they played 22 songs in the first set, and then like those 2 songs are together 3 minutes long, so you're really not getting much out of it. But yes, it does pad the stats, and it looks really good when the show on paper says it's 34 35 songs long, so
True.
That is something. It does go into Not For You. Sounds really intense, this version.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
Mike is on fire in his solo, and it sounds awesome. And at the end, they kind of tease as if they were about to go into Modern Girl, but they don't.
I thought I caught that too.
Yeah. And
yeah. I you know what? I'm sorry. I forgot to listen back to it, but you just confirmed that. I thought I heard that as well.
Yeah, it was just a slight little tease, kind of that, that slow down, that cool off. We'll get what that transitions into in a second, but This Not For You was awesome.
Yes, I agree. It was awesome, and I really like how it goes into Why Go.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. So, Randy, just fact check me here. Did we get Not For You? We got Not For You in an encore, like a show or 2 ago, right?
That was Ottawa, I believe.
It was late in the set, right?
Yeah, because when they did Modern Girl, and then 2 songs later, Slater Kinney came out.
Yeah, so that totally ruined this song for me because having it in the late in the first encore like we had it the last time, or was it the second encore?
It was the second encore, yeah.
It was so good, and I loved that late spot. All kidding aside, no, this was a fantastic performance, and into Why Go, as Aurelian just said, awesome. Another killer transition.
Yeah, the last three songs, the ones that transition one into the next, sound fan-frickin-tastic. I think it's everything that you can want. And
I'm actually gonna disagree with you, but I'll mention it when you get there.
okay. What I was about to say is I think people don't realize when, they like shows better than, when they're kind of comparing and weighing two shows against each other or saying, I really like this show to the other. I think the transitions from songs to songs are one of those things that like maybe get ingrained in people's heads and they don't really realize that that's why they like that show, but that's what it ends up being. So for me, I think the next time that we go to a show, and a lot of listeners go to the show, since we talk about these things a lot, you'd be listening for these things and kind of paying attention to see what they do. It'll be fun to see how concerts are ruined after that.
I think we're totally vulnerable to that now, listening to all these, because now it's so easy for us to say, oh no, it's so much better this way from the show from 1996 that we listened to. That's probably never going to happen again, but I guess that's the risk we take doing this.
100%. All right, let's get into Why Go. I think we have a little bit of a talking point with Why Go, because this is, again, the theme of the night. Jeff's bass is just not strong. It just sounds like Popeye.
Super weak here.
Popeye couldn't get enough spinach, and and he got knocked out by Brutus or whatever his name was.
Yeah. I said the transition out of Not For You sounds really good, but Jeff's bass was super weak here. It's his 12 string that he's using. It's not his regular 12 string. He was using a different one. I don't know I don't think it was EQ'd properly or something. I think it had to do with the switch or something, but something's going on here, and it comes up again later.
Once again, being in the pit, it's quite different, because I did not remember that it sounded that bad, but maybe I have some issue with my memory, but witnessing this song, I think everyone was going very crazy about it. So it's sometimes for some songs it's very different if you just listen to the bootlegs or if you were there at the show. And I have a vivid memory of this song, so I don't know why, but
I think a lot of times that I've seen Why Go, at least, that the crowd in the beginning, the hey, and everybody it's a very jumpy, bouncy song. It definitely sticks out among the others that are kind of around this, and you bring up a really good point. From hearing the show live to then listening on a bootleg, you can't take that moment where you heard it live and ever hear it like that again. It's special, and it's special for that one reason. And really, when you think about it, we're a live Pearl Jam podcast, but we're kind of a bootleg Pearl Jam podcast. Not the way that you would say you're a bootleg Pearl Jam podcast, but we're covering bootlegs, because unless, we go to a show and we see it and we experience it and we capture that moment, and we can't even capture that moment and give it to you, because that moment is ours. That moment is everybody who went there, and we can only talk about it with fond memories, and we can't bring that back. So that's why it's so good to have somebody there that gets that experience. You didn't hear Jeff's bass, you didn't notice it, but you said Why Go sticks out in your memory, so that's what's important.
Yeah.
Another really good transition here, Matt. I'll let you take the wheel.
Yeah, no, really, really bad transition here.
Oh God, come on! We've been waiting for this for like 6 weeks.
What this an ender like this for a set one?
No, just the way that Rearview Mirror doesn't tickle into the song.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But did you notice how How when the band comes in, Jeff, he doesn't play the part. He lets a note ring out. Did you notice
No,
that?
I didn't,
It sounded terrible. Yeah, it's because Matt skipped an entire measure and came in way too early, and the band wasn't ready.
Oh, you know what? I think I did notice Matt's part. Yeah.
Jeff wasn't ready. Matt skips a measure. That's the thing with this, man. There's a lot of these little stupid mistakes. Like Matt, he did some kind of weird drum fill in Do the Evolution that we forgot to talk about. It threw that whole, post-chorus into the verse. It threw the timing off. They were a little lost there. Just a lot of little strange little mistakes, and Jeff had a lot, and this was a bad one from Matt. I had to listen and count. I counted them in, and I'm like, "Oop, you are early," and you just hear Jeff. He just goes, "Buh," because he's like, "Oh, we're starting."
Yeah, I would say for Review Mirror, the part that I really like is the extended jam during the bridge.
I agree, especially with this one because they sometimes let it get really spacey and jammy.
Yeah.
But sometimes like this one, they turn it into like another rock song. It's fast and it's up tempo and the drums are going and the bass is going. And I think I prefer it this way. I like it when they almost put in a whole different rock song at the end of it before they go let it die and then go back into the end. This was a great version of that and example of that.
We've covered a lot of different versions of this, including what you said, the jammy version. I feel like a lot of the early stuff was very jammy.
Yeah.
And this was one, this and Porch were two that they really became their experimental songs, so to speak, where they could go kind of off book with it. But I agree. I kind of like when the bridge is way more rock and roll, and it kind of builds back up before going into the part where it kind of dies down. Encore starts here. Ed had a speech, and I didn't write it down. Do you guys remember what he said? I think it was in English.
Randy, I usually count on you to do the Eddie speeches.
This one I
tend to skip them. Yeah.
Yes.
Aurelian, I wanted to ask you. I thought I noticed on the video when they come out here and they do Yellow Moon and they're all sitting down. Was Mike looking through binoculars?
I don't remember that.
It looked like as Eddie was talking, Mike kept picking up a pair of binoculars that were next to his seat, and he was kind of scanning over the arena, which was really funny because of how massive this place is.
Whoever he was trying to look for, he probably did not find.
Probably not.
So, sorry I didn't get to write down Ed's speech. It's one of the few times he actually spoke in a language that I speak, but I have failed you all. I apologize. I resign as host of this show. And now I've been reinstated. All right, we're back. Yellow Moon kicks off the encore, and I didn't hear Jeff at all during this. Something is really missing. It's missing bass. It's missing percussion, and it's really, it has no steam. I feel like this version might have made this song, which a song that I have enjoyed in the past. This might have taken it down a notch.
Interesting, because I thought it sounded pretty good. I thought it was nice. I thought it was a good way to kick it off.
To me.
Yeah, it wasn't particularly full. I do agree with that, but performance-wise, I thought it was nice. It was nice. It's like a nice little bouquet of flowers you come home to on the kitchen table.
No, I think it was nice to get a few lightning bolt songs, because if I'm not wrong, it's only the fourth songs from Lightning Bolt played during that night, and
I think it was 5.
Yeah, I think
Sirens, Swallowed Whole, Yellow Moon.
Yes, and Minor Matters.
Minor Matters, Lightning Bolt. Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know what's your opinion, but they have just released a new album, and they played only 4 or 5 songs of this new album during its shows. What's your opinion about it?
I think that's fair. That's a fair number to me.
Yeah.
I don't think you want too many more.
I mean, we caught a show just what was it, 2 or 3 episodes ago. They did what, like 11 Yield songs off of it out of 13.
That was last week. They did
Yeah.
11 out of 13 No Code songs. Yeah.
No code. Sorry, I said Yield because I'm thinking about this show had some Yield on it. That's right. And we did the one during the avocado time where they did a lot of avocado songs, but I didn't like it because of how they mix them up. And if they're not placed right and it's not a full album show, but you're doing almost the entire thing, you got to place them right or it's not good. And in times like that, I would rather them just do maybe 3 or 4 off of the album. So I could go. I'm on the fence with that. I could take it either way, but
The one thing about the show is that 10 dominated. It had eight songs from 10 played, and then you had Vitalogy with 5, Lightning Bolt with 5, Yield with 3, and then the rest had 2 or 1. It was not as evenly proportioned as I think a lot of people would like things. And a lot of the post Lightning Bolt tours have been very 10 heavy. At least 5 songs per show, if not much more. So, just something to think about. Elderly Woman is next, and I want to play it because, going back to what we were saying before, when you go to a bunch of live shows, you listen to a bunch of bootlegs, you get certain things that get caught in your mind and that you recognize. And one of the things, cues, so to speak, and one of the cues that is a very popular Pearl Jam cue is 1 2 3 4 2 3 going into Elderly Woman. So that doesn't happen here, and it actually makes me appreciate it so much more. So we're going to play it and just listen to how he goes into it. And the song, because they don't do it, has such a different feel to it. So let's listen in.
I seem to recognize your face, wanting familiar, yeah. I can't seem to place it. Can't find a candle of thorn to light your name. Oh, lifetimes are catching on with me. All these changes taking place, I wish I'd seen the place. No one's ever taken me. Hearts and thoughts, they fade.
So when they go into this song with the 1 2 3 4 2 3, immediately it catches your ear, and you're immediately that the first word is going to be "I seem to recognize your face," and you're singing along, and it becomes a sing along. This version, though, it felt more emotional. It wasn't as much of a sing-along, and I liked it that way. And I do like when the song is a sing-along. It deserves to be, but I kind of like that this was a lot different.
I think they were just trying to hammer down that campfire feel. They're all sitting, and maybe they thought switch it up as much as they can to really hammer in this vibe they were going for is the best way to describe it, I think.
Yes, I think that there was a lot of emotion when they play this song. I like the sing-along version, but maybe as an opener or earlier in the set. But at this spot, I like how it sounded. There was more emotion, I think.
Yeah, 100% more emotion into it.
I thought it sounded fantastic too. It's nice to hear it, even if it's just a little different. it's nice to hear a switch around, because it's not like a whole different version, but like I said, I think they were just trying to go with this specific vibe for this area of the set, and yeah, it wasn't too different, but it was again, it was nice.
Nice.
Yes, and I think if you take into consideration Yellow Moon that was before, and the, let's say, the three songs that come after, I think it sounds better this way. The flow is better with this rendition compared to the classic folky song, I would say.
I agree.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Yeah, that's and it's funny that a little thing like doing the 1 2 3 4 2 3 could change the song and how people see it, and how and what kind of emotion they're pouring into it. That's I think that's a really interesting way to say, hey, this song needs a little more emotion in this part of the set. How do we put that into it? We take out that little intro that we do. So that's that. I like how they can recognize that and make that change on the fly. And that goes into a Live on Four Legs debut, Thin Air. And what do we do with Live on Four Legs debuts?
Play the song.
We gotta hear it. So let's hear it. Thin Air for the first time on the four of our legs, the six of them, since early in Series 2.
There's a light where my baby's in my home. There's a light when the window shades are torn. There's a day when I feel I made you arm to her. Wash it off, 'cause there's a feeling we can share. And I know she's reached my heart. You feel it.
I don't have too much on this one. I thought it fit in. It sounded really good, and it, again, fit in with this little section of the set that was really just the campfire sing-alongs.
Yeah, all I wrote is that it sounds good, and I really like the feel they're going for here. I think it works really well.
Yeah, it sounds good. It's definitely not one of my favorite songs, but it was a nice song. And if I remember well, after this song, Ed toasted his wife, because it was kind of an anniversary or something like that.
Mm-hmm, that's gonna bring us right into the next song.
Yeah, that's perfect transition. It goes into Just Breathe. He does speak in a little Italian, and then says something about Jill, and says it's their anniversary. For Just Breathe, I couldn't tell if there were strings on the version or Boom just sounds so much different.
It's Boom.
That's Boom. Okay.
By different, you mean fantastic, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's, well, I mean, I said it sounded like strings. It's.
I had a thought about this too, and I wanted to get your opinion, both of your opinions. As you know, I do like hearing the song still, because I'm super lame, and it was really nicely done, and the mood with the lighting and everything in the crowd, it was really cool to watch. Do you feel like this song is a bit out of order? Because I feel like this campfire vibe had really good momentum going, building up, and then he does the toast and he does Just Breathe, and it kind of brings that all the way back down to zero. But then I wasn't sure, because the transition into Daughter is flawless, and I love it.
About this song, I like the transition in Daughter, but I'm not a big fan of Just Breathe, because I'm not. For me, it's Eddie solo songs and not that much of a Pearl Jam song.
where I would normally 100% agree with you on that.
And I don't know. I think it's. I think that could I skip this one or put something else, but Just Brief. It's really. I don't know. I've never really liked this song, so it was okay to hear it live. But I'm not a big fan, so I'm biased with it.
Yeah, I like the song now. I've grown a new appreciation for it. It's going to be my first dance song, so of course
so
I like it.
You made the decision, huh?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much. It's one of those decisions where we don't want to let it linger until the day before. So the band needs to learn it anyway.
Do not do that to your band, Randy. Do not.
Yeah,
do that to your band.
I know. That's why we're pretty confident about it. So, but that doesn't mean I'm 100% okay with it in certain spots in the set. I thought that my notes on this were that it was just way too lovey-dovey of a section here.
Look what he's doing it for.
I 100% agree.
You have to give him the pass on that.
I know, and I guess for me, if I were in the crowd for this one, I would have been kind of like, sticking my finger at my tongue, like, I don't know. I guess I'm not a huge fan of a lot of their love songs. It does feel like it is kind of Eddie Vedder takeover, which is fine to an extent, but working in this, I have the same kind of confliction that you do, Matt. I thought it was a flawless transition into Daughter, but I think that playing this before Thin Air would have worked better because Thin Air is more bouncy and it has a vibe to it.
I thought he should have done it alone in the very beginning because I just don't think. I think if it's thrown in anywhere else besides that, I feel like some of this momentum that they're building up is just kind of broken right down again to zero, and it's a little strange. So
that's kind of what I'm saying by the two lovey-dovey songs in a row. You lose the crowd.
The only issue I had was that where it was placed, because I do still like the song. Yeah, it has nothing to do with it being lovey-dovey or anything like that. I think it's just a well-written song.
Oh no, totally agree. It's a song. Look, it's good to have an opinion. Okay, here's how I'll put it. In wrestling, yes, I'm going there.
We almost made it. Almost made it to the end.
If you're not a wrestling fan, you might know the name Roman Reigns. For the last 4 or 5 years, he's been kind of touted as, being the next in that John Cena role, who everybody knows his name. And the fans have kind of pushed back on it, and they've said, no, we don't really want him in that role. But the thing is that he's coming out to an audience that's reacting to it. And the whole idea is, it doesn't matter if you like them or you hate them, they're reacting to it, and that's good. And that's the same thing with Just Breathe. You have an opinion on it. And it's good to have, everybody has an opinion on it. So, it does its job. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's maybe because I have a specific, let's say, history with this song, because I kind of stopped listening to Pearl Jam in 1996 because I was disappointed by No Code, and I only, let's say, I started only to listen once again to Pearl Jam in 2011, I think. So I spent nearly 15 years without listening to Pearl Jam. But in 2009, one of my friends tried to convince me to listen to Pearl Jam once again, and he made me listen to Just Brief. And I just say, okay, I don't want to listen to that band anymore. It's just, I don't understand. It's not Pearl Jam.
That's not a good way to introduce somebody back into the band. Yeah. We should talk about that at some point. If you're trying to introduce somebody into the band, and I have friends who, Matt, our other friend named Matt, he told me over text one time that anytime Pearl Jam comes on the radio, he will turn it off immediately, that he can't stand them. And I said to him, I'm like, well, I understand that about the hits because they're stereotypical Eddie, and if you're not into how Eddie sounds, you're not going to be into those songs. But a lot of the rest of their stuff, he's not that, so you have to figure out a couple of songs to sort of ease people into, and just breathe probably for certain people probably isn't the way to do that. So I think we've burned ourselves out on this conversation though. Let's go into Daughter. Again, transition was flawless, and Daughter sounds good. I didn't hate this version. I don't know if it's one of these things where I'm warming up to it. As you've heard in previous shows, I've said let's just skip talking about Daughter because I haven't been interested. But I thought, as far as Daughter goes, it sounded good, but that's not the story here. The story is within the tags. We do get a WMA tag, and then you hear the rhythm of It's Okay. However, you get something else completely different. This is the most popular song that Pearl Jam has ever played at a live show. So take a listen. Say.
I said I was hoping I would never ever have to hear that again.
And now you just heard it again.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Not only did I just hear it again listening back, but I had to edit it in. I had to cut it down. I had to adjust the volume. So I probably just heard it 3, 4, 5 more times. So once again, thank you, Randy.
Does he reach the level of Elsa? Or is it Anna? I have no idea.
Yeah, no, he absolutely did because I immediately wanted to kill myself. So I'd say he's dead on.
Why do you think that they did this? Why do you think? Obviously, it's the most popular movie, 2014. I think it came out that winter, and it's the most popular movie in the universe, and it's still to this day, kids and even some adults love it. It's not for me. It's not. And I'm a Disney guy. I'm going to Disney this week. But I've never really been into Frozen that much. So
it came out in November 2013.
Okay. Yep.
I couldn't tell. I should watch it again, but I thought maybe he was looking down at the lyrics for it. Do you think it could have been something as simple as he was just like, this might be funny tonight?
No, I think it was a request from one of his daughter.
Bingo! That's exactly what I said. Yep.
All right. Now I feel like a jerk.
Do you think Olivia is tuning in and being like, I can't believe you. I can't believe that you ate my request.
Hey, he's a good dad. I won't discredit that. I don't like it, but okay. That's fine. That's fine. I'm sorry.
I did not get it at the time because in France the movie was dubbed, and there was another singer who sang the song in French with different lyrics.
Sure.
So I did not get the fact that it was from Frozen.
And of course they're playing the other progression over the lyric. So I guess that's tough to pick up on immediately if you're not hearing the actual song being played.
Exactly.
With English over it, yeah.
All right, I think we can skip on to the next one. I think that's over and done with. They only did that at one or two other shows, so who knows if we'll ever cover them. But again, Live on Four Legs first. We have to do it at least once. So
getting into Jeremy, super weak. He's back on that bass that I don't think was EQ'd right, and the intro to Jeremy here left me just bored, to be honest. and we've heard some that like really blow you away.
It to me, it definitely sounded different, but it sounded heavier. It was a little less egregious than some of those other sound.
It seemed tinny. It seemed empty to me. I'm not. I don't know. There was something going on with the mix with Jeff.
You might be right. I thought this part was a little heavier though than the other versions of Why Go and the other songs where he did not sound as good.
It was better than the Why Go intro for sure, but it still was not. It wasn't there yet.
Yes, I'm a fanboy of Jeremy, so I'm a very huge fan of this song. It's one of the songs that turns me into Pearl Jam. So once again, being at the show, I did not notice something unusual or an issue. It was I was really into the song.
I thought Jeff's performance was good. I just didn't think his bass sounded as good as it could have.
Yeah, no, we've said before that we kind of define the song on how they end it, not how they begin it, and how much energy they put into the end. I think the energy was there. The ha 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 and he all that crap at the end, I think sounded really good. I think they were into it. All right, after Jeremy, we get Eddie back on the mic saying it is Matt Cameron's wife's April's birthday. So they sing to her, and I had an epiphany during this version of Happy Birthday. It comes up a lot. It's usually somebody's birthday, somebody in the band. I think they've sang to Jeff before, one of their crew members, Pete Townsend, whoever it is. It's always somebody's birthday. And if they sing Happy Birthday to somebody, you'll notice that Ed likes to try to sound like he's the loudest person in the room. And
kind of like Michael Scott when he always takes the high harmony.
You read my fucking mind.
You know why? Because that episode was on Comedy Central last night. I just saw it. Dude, that's hilarious.
And we're all going to take a second and sing Happy Birthday to April Cameron because I know it'll freak her out. Right, here's the April. Matt Cameron's like, come on. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Queen. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, buddy.
That was
Yeah.
I'm glad we can humor ourselves with this stuff sometimes, and I hope that you're a fan of The Office, Aurelian, and we're not confusing.
No, I don't. I have no knowledge of The Office.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Not even the British Office?
No.
Okay. All right. We tried, but I think a lot of people will love what we did just there.
Yes, probably. No, I don't really watch TV. I don't watch TV a lot, so.
You know what? That's smart. I keep.
That's a good thing.
I keep saying to myself that all I do is watch TV, and I'm on 2 tablets at once. I'm on my iPad and my iPhone all at once, and it's too much stimulation, and I get crazy when it happens.
No,
It's tough when you work from home, though.
Yeah, I don't watch TV when I work.
Yeah. Sometimes, just I know I'll be learning songs or something for a wedding, and I'm like, I got to have something on in the background. I don't have to, but I do. I got to cut that out.
Yeah. All right. So, man, this is a really long encore.
It is.
Usually we'd be done by now and heading into the second, but they decide to extend the first encore a little bit and leave the second as bread and butter, essentially. And we get another awesome rendition of Better Man here. And a really good save it for later, and I'm happy to have it and always happy to hear it, and everything sounds fantastic. How was it live, though? Because that's where this comes into play. It doesn't matter what we listen to on the bootleg, but how was it hearing this live?
Live is awesome because everyone knows the word, everyone sings out loud, so it's really a kind of a moment when everyone is just singing the same words and probably thinking the same thing. So Better Man is always special. I have never been a huge fan of the studio version of Better Man because I think at the time it was probably I think it was too poppy, but live it's something fully different.
Yeah, everything he just said. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, look, I think for a lot of people, they go to shows and they say, I want to hear Better Man, and that's really such a high point. It's just, it's not a high point in the bootlegs because, we do hear this version a lot. So that's, for anybody that this could be their first show tuning in, and you might be saying, how come you guys aren't talking more about Even Flow or Better Man or Alive? It's because, the bootleg version doesn't do the live song the justice that it deserves. So,
Yes.
That's pretty much it. It transitions perfectly into Spin the Black Circle. I thought that was fantastic. And I got nothing on Spin the Black. I thought it sounded awesome. I thought it was a really awesome spot for it.
Yeah, you know me, I'm take it or leave it on Spin the Black Circle, but placement helps, and I really like it after Better Man. I mean, I really like it. I thought this was great.
It's bringing the energy up at the end of the set when you're kind of seeing the tea leaves here, and it's getting pretty late. But to get something really fast and hard this late is definitely, it's a special moment.
It honestly comes out of nowhere.
What was your reaction to it, really?
I was okay because I'm not a big fan of the song. I would have preferred probably Blood.
Okay.
We're not going to disagree with you there.
No, not at all.
No, because with this song, it's the first song that I've heard from Vitalogy, and at the time I was kind of disappointed by the fact that it was only power chords played at a fast pace. So I always have this, I always have in my head the feeling that I had in 1993. Or 1994 probably when I first heard the song. So it's one of the songs that I've never really enjoyed.
It just sticks to you sometimes. I totally get what you mean. That's probably why Wishlist has never been one of my favorites and never will be, because I just remember listening to it when I was 12 on Yield and being like, this is just boring, no. And while I appreciate its identity as a song, I can't get the 12-year-old out of my mind on that. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
It's a good example of how sometimes, even with songs like this, because I'm with Aurelian on this, or his opinion on it, I agree with that. It just shows you how important placement can be sometimes, and that's kind of what we stress here on this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what's changed our mind on so many songs like Jeremy and
absolutely,
and even Wishlist to an extent, where we've said Wishlist has sounded really good in certain shows. So
it was Camden, right? I think we both liked where it was. It was
really like that one.
It was a moment, and
correct, yeah. Yeah, and then we go into Luke, and from that, and how many words were you able to make out? Maybe 3? 4, maybe? This is mostly gibberish.
Yeah.
It should have ended the set, though.
Well, what if Porch didn't end the set? Because that all right. I would have been disappointed hearing Porch again for the second time.
But I think...
I mean,
Yes.
I think there's probably a lot of people that might not have gotten to the preset, so...
I guess,
but
still,
that doesn't...
it's,
Yes,
yeah.
because,
corny.
Yeah, because the venue was far from being full during the preset.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But didn't you discuss in the past episode I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but you discussed the fact that does it make sense that a song in a preset is played later in the set?
Yeah, I had mentioned it because I think that's this. It might have been this set list that I was looking at when I said that when we were talking about the same song being played twice in the same night, "Rockin' in the Free World."
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
from that conversation. I don't remember where that stemmed. It was somewhere in the Ottawa show with Patrick. I don't remember how we started that conversation, but man, okay. I'm okay with Porch being here because this is very typical to have Porch here. But if you're going out on stage and playing something ahead of time, don't play something that's going to be on the set list later, because then it's going to make it feel like a reprise, and it's repetitive to me. I think that maybe he should have played You Gotta Hide Your Love Away, or I don't know, a Cat Stevens song or a Springsteen song.
Yeah, I have an idea for it too. What I'd written down, and all right, where do I start on this? Well, okay, this is not the intro we like, of course. It's,
No.
It's almost like he's doing exactly the same thing as he did in the preset. But that aside, I understand the point of the preset and the warm up, and it could warm himself up, it could warm the crowd up, and maybe it's a good way to use a preset song as a way to do a final line check or something. If you wanted to just, I didn't check this during sound check, let me just make sure my in-ears and my monitors are fine. Whatever it is, who knows. But having said that, you have already done the sound check, and by this point, you probably know Porch is going to make it onto the main set. So why not do Setting Forth in the preset? And then what I thought would have been really cool is do Down where Setting Forth was. Something like that in that spot. I think that would have been a lot better.
Right with that.
Do that
saves
song.
You time too.
Saves you time.
Also.
It breaks you out of a filler spot of the set. At least a double filler. I don't know. That was my thought. I was listening to it, went back, and I'm like, Setting Forth, boom, preset. Do whatever you got to do for a preset. If it's a line check, if you want to warm up, if it's just a thank you for the crowd, they'll love it no matter what it is. It's out of the way. Add Down in here. I think that'll work really well.
Yeah, I would rather he could have played anything, whether I would have liked it or not. I would have just been bummed to hear the same song twice. That's all I got. But yeah, for the people that maybe didn't catch the preset, okay, that's fine, but maybe just do something else for the people that did catch it. That's I think it's fair and appropriate, but we'll let him figure it out. Hopefully by now he has. But Encore 2 is really bread and butter. There's not a lot of time to spend on it, but Ed talks about science, discovery, war, mental health, corruption, all in the same sentence, and he says all those things are keeping people from living in peace. I'm going to guess the war and mental health and corruption part, but the science and discovery, I forget what was kind of where he was going with this. I think it was some sort of, yes, this is what he was going with it. It was great to see this many people in this part of the world together agreeing on something. So he was saying that in 2014, and then 2 years later, that became impossible. So there you go. But this is bread and butter. This is Alive into Rockin' in the Free World into Ledbetter. And man, we can just lump these together if we wanted to. Is there anything at the end here? I'll give it to you first, Aurelian, because you saw these, and this being your fourth show, I would have to think that you were pretty excited for this ending, and it wasn't that run of the mill to you yet, right?
Yeah, I think I was not burned out by these 3 songs put together at the end of a show, definitely. Rocking in a Free World is one of my favorite cover. I'm always I'm always vivid. I still remember the first, when they play it. I don't know, it was maybe in the MTV Video Music Awards back in the day. I don't know, so I still have in mind that the songs. I would say the thing that I remember from the show is that during Rocking in a Free World, I don't know if it's Stone or Mike, gave the guitar to Matt Cameron's son.
Yes, Eddie actually shouted him out. He said, that's Matt Cameron's son, Ray, who to bring it all together, to put a little bow on this, he sang Happy Birthday to April, his wife, here. I think I've been to a show where he sang Happy Birthday to Ray.
Okay.
I think it was Hartford in 2013. I think that's the one. Which is just funny how they kind of connect somehow. I don't know if I'm crazy by saying all that, but
coming back to the type of venue, ending a show in a stadium, I think that these three songs are appropriate. I definitely prefer hearing Indifference as a closer, but it's better in an arena. But in an open-air stadium, these three songs are definitely what is appropriate. Even if it's not what I would have liked to hear, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah,
absolutely. You have to go this route for sure.
I'm with you too. It's the vibe of the stadium. They are, all three of them are arena rock songs, stadium songs. And yeah, they might be overdone, overplayed, commonly positioned where they are, but certain nights you can just let that slide and you can feel the energy.
Especially when you have a crowd like this. Everything else goes out the window because you know it's going to be incredible. So I'm fine with that.
Out of the three of these, I thought that Rockin' in the Free World is especially good.
Rockin' was good.
In these, but I don't know. We're calling it bread and butter. I think we should call it bread and lud butter now.
And lead butter.
Lead butter. Did I say lead butter or did I say lud butter? I said lud butter.
We can call it lud butter if you want. That works too.
Lud butter.
That's actually easier to say.
Yeah, that's probably why I said it. Okay, bread and lud butter. Missing the cut on this show from the original set list, Chloe Dancer / Crown of Thorns in the first encore, and then to start the second encore, Comatose into Got Some. Man, Got Some in an encore is that's my nightmare. I hate that. But
I wouldn't. I need that early first set. I wouldn't want it in an encore either. That takes away from
really
something special that could go in its place. Yeah,
I completely agree. Disappointed you didn't hear any of those 3 or 4 songs?
No, because I've already witnessed this one, so I was not burned. I think that Chloe Dancer and Crowd of Thorns, they play these songs just the show after in Trieste. But no, I would say it was an almost 3-hour long show, so I think it was really fine for me. And looking back at the set list, I think it's probably a nice set for a first Pearl Jam show, because you get almost all the staples. You just add you miss maybe Animal and I don't know, pretty much the only one that I came to think of. But I think
they nailed the hits.
Yes. You have all the hits, you have a few, let's say, deep cuts. So I think it was, once again, for a crowd that huge, probably not composed only of hardcore diehard fans of Pearl Jam. I think it was the kind of set that probably pleased the most people.
Yeah, it's diverse in a way that it has a lot of album representation on it. It's not diverse in a way that, it's very heavy 10, but it's approachable. It's something that I like to use my brother as an example of the casual fan that, sort of dropped out after a couple albums, but, really likes the stuff that he likes. And if he were to go to a show to hear 8 songs from 10, he would be really happy. Instead of hearing like 5 songs from No Code and then 4 songs from Binaural, he probably would have been like, I didn't really get the point of this show. But we would have all been insane and crazy about it. So that's, you gotta get everybody in and gotta get everybody happy. And I think this show definitely did that. So that we're here at this point now, let's rate it. Aurelian, you go first.
I think it's okay. I would give him a 7.5 because I think that it was a very nice show to attend, but regarding the set list, I was kind of a little disappointed by the fact that they played no songs from Ryan Act and Avocado. So I will 7.5.
It's true. I don't even think we touched on that there was no Riot Act, no Avocado at all.
But around this era, it's just kind of, you just assume.
Yeah, Riot Act isn't that surprising. You'll probably get an I Am Mine or a Save You if you're real lucky around this time. But yeah, not having Avocado, that's not really a surprise either. So that's probably why I wasn't even thinking about it.
All right, Matt,
should I go? Yeah. I mean, I like what they played. There's just a couple spots here that I wasn't thrilled, but it really doesn't go any more than 1 or 2 songs at a time that I disliked. Yeah, it wasn't Jeff's best show, but I thought the rest of the band was really good. I feel like a 6 is too low because the crowd is on fire the whole night. And like I said, there is a lot of good stuff here, and you get a lot of good hits, and they do a lot of cool things. Elderly Woman, that spot and the way they did it, stand out, really cool. What else? Spin the Black Circle After Better Man in the second encore sounded awesome. The Bread and Butter was awesome.
Bread and Lud Butter.
The lead butter, yeah. The whole intro, honestly, the whole open, Release Nothing Man, Sirens, Black, go. I mean, give that to me every single show I go. That's so cool, and it's different, it's interesting, and I really like that. So yeah, I can go 7 on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the same route. I'm gonna go 7 on it too, because the thing that sticks out the most to me is the transitions from song to song. I thought a lot of them were absolutely flawless. It's really important. It's a really important part of the set, and it really means the band is together on things. That means they're tight. It means that they're focused. And it means that they just don't want to screw around and waste time. And for that, you were granted 35 songs in total this whole night. So that's a fantastic part of the show. Like, it's such a huge encore. There were some points where I said it lacked a little bit of an oomph. That swallowed whole / setting forth part could have used a little more oomph. But even so, that whole entire first set was 22 songs. If there's a little bit of downtime during those 22 songs, then fine. And honestly, if you say that those songs are always going to be filler, then they're never going to find a place for those songs. So this had really good stuff in it. The intro was really good. A lot of really good performances. It deserves a 7. I thought it was a good show. So that's where we stand: a 7.5, a 7, and a 7. And we're pretty good. We haven't been ranking a real lot of low shows lately, Matt. We've been doing pretty good on this.
Yeah, because people have been giving us great shows, or at the very least, shows that I would not mind seeing. It doesn't have to be perfect every time. Like, this show wasn't perfect, but goddamn, I would have loved to have been there.
And in that matter, like, Aurelian bringing this up and saying that he wanted to cover this, and I know why he chose this one, because his original show that he wanted to do was I kind of told him that we shouldn't do it yet. You want to do London Night 2.
Yes.
2018. That's the one that you want to do.
Yes.
And we will at some point. It's just a little too soon for it, I think, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think for this show, London 2 2018, the set list is very unusual. I think there's a lot of they almost took all the requests from the forum and so on. So it was very specific vibe of this show. But the Rome show, I think the Milan show, sorry. I think it's a solid set, and it's definitely it was definitely worth seeing it and traveling to Milan to attend to it, because you have the set list, the show, but being able to be part of this huge stadium, it was something that it was very different from what I have experienced in an arena or in a festival.
Yeah, we have big ballparks that are here, Wrigley Field, Fenway, Safeco, and I mean, they sell them out every single time, and it's a special occasion every single time. So I totally get what you're saying. The big arena feel is so important here, and you can tell that the crowd brought the big arena game and not the the dinky 10,000 seat arena game that maybe other crowds would bring. So that's a really good point, and that's it for this show. Do you want to play a game? Do you want to be in on this game? Do you want to be part of this?
I can try.
You can, okay. I think I chose a category that's pretty easy.
Okay.
That wouldn't be too difficult for you. I am going to time it out. We'll both count, Matt. Your category is name as many one-word Pearl Jam songs as you can in a minute.
Okay.
Think you can do that one?
Yes, I will try.
Okay. I don't want to embarrass you. So
No.
if this doesn't go well, then we won't air it.
Okay, just give me the start.
All right. I'll give you a 3, 2, 1. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Once Alive, Jeremy, Black, Garden, Release, Deep, Go, Daughter, Sad, yes, it's other. Sorry. There's so
And you
many,
have
but
40 seconds left, so just pace yourself,
Evacuation, to Grievance, Fatal, Wash, and many others. No, it's harder than I could have imagined.
Yeah. 15 seconds, like 12 seconds left. Do you want to give it another shot? Try to get. You're at 14.
Education.
14.
Education.
3, 2, 1.
That's it.
We got you at 15. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
15, not bad.
Basically, you could have done. You did all at 10. I think you hit everything from 10 except for Oceans.
Yeah.
But Versus, I think everything besides Elderly Woman is all one word.
Yes, because there's Black. Yes. Blood and Rats and yeah.
Rearview Mirror being one word
Rearview
too.
Mirror. Yeah. Indifference. Insignificance. Yes, there are so many.
Hey, no one likes being put on the spot. That's why Randy and I don't participate in the games. We make other people play them.
Oh, I would love to do this. Are you kidding me? One of these days, we'll just participate. All right. Earlian, you've been an awesome guest. Thank you for coming on and sharing your experience. Thank you for contributing to the podcast. You've been here from the beginning and you've been hardcore about it. You email us almost every week, and we don't do this without people as passionate as you are. So again, we thank you and thank you for coming on. And if you have one last thing to say, now is the time to say it.
No, I'd like to thank you for it was nice to participate in the show. Sorry for my English mistakes, probably a lot. I hope that you won't lose too many listeners.
You were fantastic.
And
no, you were fine.
I just really want to thank you for setting up this podcast, because with the Over Pearl Jam podcast, I think that you really bring something to the community. It's something that is different from what I can see on the forum, because on the forum a lot of people are more interested now in poster, memorabilia, and so on. And I think that sometimes I would like people to be more to discuss more about the songs or about the live shows and so on. And it's what I like with your podcast, the single podcast theory and the porch is that you bring something positive to, let's say, the Pearl Jam community. So, and I'm sure that it takes you a lot of time. So, thank you for that.
Hey, we do it out of love. That's, and again, that you hit the nail on the head there. A lot of people talk about sort of, merch and what they own of Pearl Jams, and I like talking about Pearl Jam. They because they make me happy, and I think they make all of us happy, and that's pretty much. That's why we do it. So we're just thankful that people are on board with it and want to talk with us. So again, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being a part of this show. And we'll do this again really soon.
Yes, hopefully.
Promise we'll get to London.
Yeah, no problem. It could be something else.
Yeah, we'll get to I have to keep that promise to you. We'll get to it. So
no problem.
I'll let you know. All right. Take care, man.
So, thank you. Au revoir.
Live on Four Legs is happy to present a weekly podcast dedicated to the Pearl Jam live experience. While we try to get ourselves to as many shows as possible, we have only attended a small fraction compared to the entire live history. That's why we need your help. We want to get to know who you are. If there's a live show that you've attended that you'd like to see us cover in our program, please send us an email at liveonfourlegs, that's the number 4, liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com. We want to know your entire live experience. Did you once miss a flight? Get lucky in the 10 Club lottery? Catch a white whale? Your stories will help us mold this into the best podcast it could possibly be. You're already getting to know who we are. Now it's time for us to know who you are. All right. So, yes, like I just said from 4 months ago, that recording that I still haven't changed, right into us. Just to say hi, just to say I've been listening to your show, like you guys, maybe you guys should do this show, even if you don't have a story per se, like, if there's a bootleg that you've listened to for years and years and years that you want us to cover, then, just pose it to us. We're very open to discussion on just about everything. We have a bunch of dates that just have no shows to go in there yet. So
if you want to donate and you think you have a good idea for a smaller Patreon only episode, like a live DVD show or a broadcast performance of something like that, donate and then mention that to us, and we could do something like that. You could have your very own show. It could be just yours.
Yeah.
For a Patreon only, it's super exclusive.
That would be, yep, and then all 9 of us would listen to it.
I think that's worth $1, right?
I think, yeah, I mean, absolutely, and it's up to everybody's discretion. I think we're going to do, we put a poll out there pretty recently, this past week, asking people what they wanted to hear for a Patreon episode, and maybe that got in people's ears that we are doing more exclusive content through there. And I want to say we'll probably have something together by the end of March. End of February, even sooner than that. Just to sort of give us time to figure out when we recorded and all that stuff. But again, Patreon is really where you can help us out. We are going to be giving back to the community, as you saw with the Toys for Tots drive that we did. And not only that, but when they start doing shows where we really want to plan a lot of meetups and we want to make it special for everybody, and we know the shirts are a hit too, so those will be coming back at some point. Who knows when, but again, you get a lot of stuff from us for signing up to Patreon, and honestly, you'll get all this stuff without having to, it doesn't matter how much you donate. We'll send you a shirt. Hopefully we have your size, but we'll send you a shirt. We'll send you a bootleg of any show that we've covered so far. And we will also have you on an episode, as you saw today, with Aurelian. Aurelian got on an episode, and same with Patrick, same with Bradley, and I think we've been really good about getting these guys on and showing you that, we want to hear from all you guys and get to know your experiences. So, that's we Patreon, Live on Four Legs on Patreon.
Yeah, simple.
That's pretty much it. And for all you iTunes listeners out there and subscribers, help us out on iTunes. Rate us, leave us a comment on iTunes, let us know how we're doing. It helps us get views and get more listens and get more clicks, and the more that we have, the better that we do. So we're trying to improve every time. If there's something you do like, let us know. If there's something you don't like, let us know too. That's just going to help us. All criticism, bad or good, is always going to lead us into the right direction. So anything else we got? Can you think of anything else?
I don't think so. I thought maybe we could just let them know what we're doing next week, and we had the idea of maybe picking a place at random.
The random place.
If the random listener.
Yeah.
And seeing if they wanna call in.
Yeah, I think that's a fun game. All right. I'm looking at, I go through this, our stats on SoundCloud, and we go through the top cities, and our top city right now with 23 plays, and this could just be, stop and go. I don't really know the, specifics of it. I don't think 23 people in Blythe, Canada are listening, but if there are, we'd love to hear from all 23 of you. If anybody from Blythe, Canada is listening, just give us a, shoot us an email at liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know, just let us know you're live. Let us know that you're liking the show, or if you're not liking the show, whatever. Just we want to hear from you. So, Blythe, Canada. Don't even know the province. Next week is MSG Night 2. 1998. So we're continuing our tradition throughout the year. We're going to do MSG shows throughout this whole year. We started off the year with night 1 of this tour, and now we're going to do night 2, which is, everybody knows what this show is about. This show is about breath, and I haven't listened to it yet, so I can't wait to make to put together my opinions on the other songs in the set, because I don't know what else is in the set besides breath, because that's all anybody ever talks about. So we'll have to see for ourselves, and then do what we do.
The best way to do it is see for ourselves and do what we do.
Yeah, and although we made a wrestling reference on this podcast, we didn't make a baseball reference at all on this podcast. That, pretty impressive.
Football just ended, and pitchers and catchers are reporting, and we're getting close here.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be a lot more baseball references. Oh, here's a good reference. Citi Field was in the Endgame trailer for Avengers, so that was awesome. Hopefully there's a war at Citi Field or something like that. But that has nothing to do with Pearl Jam. We have run out of time. We have run out of things to talk about. So we're going to say goodbye to you all, because it's the end. We're here, but not for much longer. And although we may be parting ways, I miss you already. I miss you always.